Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It is a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest, and I hope you guys are all having a good day getting home from work after a long work day. We are going to be taking a look at Sasayaki today, also known as Whisper. She's one of the units that are going to be coming out with the Kitone and Whisper banner, and she's a very powerful tank. She is related to both Grace and Murmur, and we're going to see some similar traits between all of them, especially when it comes down to the defensive capabilities of Whisper. So Whisper coming in here is going to be primarily job a Knight, secondary job Samurai, which already gets me excited because I feel like Samurai is just the best job in the game. And then her third job is going to be Rune Knight. Her master ability, which you attain at level 40, is going to give slashing attack plus 5, and then a resistance to all attack types plus 5. So you can already think, if you already know Murmur, you know that there's a passive resistance that's going to be built into her character. She's going to be tanky. Now her TMR is a Devil's Mask. It's going to be an accessory with HP plus 240, slash attack resistance up 5, along with every other resistance up 5 except for elemental resistance. Very powerful accessory, especially for anyone who is considering a tank character. So even if this is not Whisper that's going to be using this, she can still, any tank character can get utilization out of this. I would say this is up there in probably the most useful TMRs out there, just because of the capability of offering a little bit more survivability. Taking a look here at her stats, she comes in at 1700 HP, which is a little surprising if you consider that she's primarily a tank character, which we'll be talking about here in just a little bit. Her TP is 130 and she gets plus 9. Her AP comes in at 120, a movement of 3, jump of 1. She gets an attack of 213 plus 28, which is the 24th highest out of all the units in the game. She does get an additional plus 20% attack, which is going to put her about in the 250 range, which we all know is decent, but it's not pushing that 300 attack, so we're not going to be looking at one-shotting anybody or just running in and destroying the opposing team, right? What's really great about her, though, is that she gets defense plus 6 and spirit plus 8, which is so powerful just on her unlock node. She also has a luck of 200, which is going to be the 4th highest luck out of all the characters. Her dexterity is going to be okay. It's coming in at about, 170-ish, 180-ish. And then her agility is coming in at 57, which is a little bit on the lower side. We do see 60, 62, 65 as more of a standard high-pace agility. So it is going to offset her defenses just a little bit. And finally, she does get a nice critical hit rate plus 12, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're going to be talking about that in regards to her gear in just a little bit. Now, looking at her passive resistances, we are going to do a little bit of math here, so I hope you guys are all ready to do some addition. She gets 25% resistance to all types of damage, very similar to Murmur and Grace. She is weak 10% to light damage, so those Engelberts out there, those Ramsas, are going to be doing a little bit more damage to her. And in terms of passive, she does have Spirit Blade, which increases attack and evasion, decreases defense, probably going to be the one that I'm going to recommend to set on her. She also gets max HP up, which is also going to be a very powerful one to set on her. And she also gets Sword Guard, which we'll be talking about in just a minute here. So for those keeping track, the base resistances are 25%. With her master ability, her base resistances are 30%. With her TMR and master ability, her base resistances are 35%. With a base of defense and spirit plus 8. And then Sword Guard is a 30% reduction in damage to both physical and magical, 20% of the time when fully leveled and activated. So take this in mind when you also consider that she's getting that evasion from Spirit Blade? Yes, from Spirit Blade, and she's losing 3 defense from that. That still makes her incredibly tanky, and she's going to be one of the most powerful units there is in the game for being able to take a hit. And not only that, depending on what sub you have her as, you're going to be adding more power to her as well. So let's talk about some of her offensive abilities. Kind of the bread and butter is going to be a difference between Rune Blade, Samurai, and Knight. So for Rune Blade, you're going to give it Dark Blade, which is going to be a 70x to 105x modifier, which is a lot of damage for only 22 AP. It's going to have a 2-space radius, and it's going to deal 25x damage versus light units, and it's going to be accessed with Spellblade sub. Now, you also have access to Trinity Break all the time, which is going to be a 30x to 65x attack, so significantly weaker than that Dark Gut Blade. It's going to be kind of your bread and butter. You're going to have access to this almost all the time. It's going to decrease attack and magic 39% and decrease agility 25%. I would say you're probably not going to be using this as much as you're going to be using Attract Spell or something along those lines. I think part of this, though, is that you kind of have two choices in your kit. And I'm going to say you're probably going to want to go to Samurai because I think the passives from Samurai are a little bit better. If you look here in the middle, she also gets access to Attract Spell, which is really good if you are lacking Oath of Love. It's essentially going to be a Shuriken tier amount of damage for 18 AP, and then what that 6 additional AP gets you is a 25 to 47% chance to target that character, really making her that tank character that someone's going to focus on. If she has Samurai Sub, adding to her kit is going to be a powerful Evasion Plus technique, both for her and her allies. It's going to give plus 10 to 25 evasion, depending on how leveled it is, for 3 turns, which, if you can give that to your allies, is going to be a great way to start any type of match. Also, if you have the Spellblade set as your defense, or as your sub, you are going to have access to Magic Resist, which is similar, except it's going to offer 18% to 38% magic resistance to your allies in the area, so that's going to be if we're facing a lot of people in the magic meta in the future. And then, of course, I'm going to call out Hien here, which is going to be a 20x to 37x attack ability, Samurai Sub, and it's going to give that versatility that she needs. She's going to be one of those characters that is not going to have the flexibility of attack. She's going to be kind of locked into running towards her opponent or getting hit first before she deals an attack. So having this versatility in her kit is going to be useful. A low AP technique if you're sub-Samurai is going to be great. Honestly, I think you could go with either Spellblade or Samurai Sub, and you could be good with her on either of those right now. In terms of equipment, you guys, we have a lot to talk about. So any of the armors are essentially going to be great for her. So let's talk about the different types that we have here. We have, of course, the Golden Armor. Golden Armor is something you should only be invested in if you're whale status, you have a ton of hammers, you do a ton of PvP, because you're going to have to optimize this piece of gear a lot. And at maxed out, Golden Armor plus 5 does give an additional slash attack resistance plus 8, which just adds on to her defensive capability. HP of 478, defense of 18, Iron Plate plus 5. Shout out to AOJ who called this out in my equipment armor video. He has a slash attack resistance of 6, HP 307, and gives a beefy defense plus 15. It does give agility minus 3, but I think that slash resistance up and that defense is going to be so powerful. Mithril Armor is going to be a bit of a unique build for her. You could build it for shield, but I think that's not the direction you're going to want to go. You're probably going to want to build it for dodge. So you could give her a little bit more of an evasion, which is going to max out at plus 18 evasion. It is going to give her strike attack resistance up, which is not going to be as good as slash attack resistance up. But again, you never know what we're going to face in the future. Something to think about there. In terms of a weapon, Nagnarok is going to be one of the best weapons you can get for her. Honestly, you could probably do Vital, Assault, or Magic and be good either way, considering that she has that Spellblade class. Raz Algethi, if you do want to go for the critical build, one of the few swords besides the Mithril Saber, I'm going to say that right, that has a critical build, Raz Algethi with the plus 13 critical hit, could be very powerful considering she also has that innate critical. The Sleep Blade plus 5 is going to be good as well with an additional slash attack plus 15. Ooh, I just realized, you guys, Raz Algethi is the gun. I totally meant to put in Lionheart here. So forgive me for that quick mistake there. So just ignore the Raz Algethi altogether. Sleep Blade will be very powerful. You can either get a magic or an aim on it. So that magic or that attack or that accuracy is going to help her either way. That's kind of a niche build, but it's also kind of that passive, like you could potentially sleep your opponent, so she could be more of a nuisance. You could also use Gafgarian's TMR here, which would confuse your opponent. So again, there's many different options in terms of weapons. Finally, if you do find yourself in a position where maybe you have a TMR armor and you want to equip an accessory and you have to pick a ring, I would suggest the Jeweled Ring plus 5, either for critical or aim, whatever suits the playstyle that you're currently building for her. I, of course, can't give a best in slot build for her because I think it's really going to depend on the units and the Espers that you currently have in your arsenal. Now, finally, looking at Espers for her, a couple Espers here. I think my #1 recommendation is going to be Golem for the defense plus, Iron Giant, probably secondary for the slash resistance, Ifrit third for the ice resistance for Medina's, and of course that missile resistance. And finally, Cactuar for an interesting combination of Lightning Eater, Man Eater, and critical hit rate. If you're going for that critical hit rate build on her, Cactuar could actually be very powerful, and I would recommend thinking about that for her as well. In terms of cards, we're of course going to recommend Golem maxed out. It's going to be an HP plus 500, which is going to be really powerful for her if you consider that low HP is probably because of all the damage resistance she has. So let's say that she does have upwards of 50% damage resistance. If this was on another character, it would actually be the equivalent of about plus 750 HP, plus the additional plus max HP 25%. Hard to go wrong. Earth attack resistance, always going to be good against Mons. Shiva, again, if you're going for that evasion type build, that evasion plus 20 is going to be really nice. Slap an Esper on her that gives that evasion plus 7 as well. That's an innate 27% evasion, plus you have illusion from Samurai, which is also going to increase the evasion a little bit. So you're actually going to have a decent evade tank along with a beefy meat tank. So very good if you're wearing Oath of Love or planning on using a tracked blade. Odin, one of the most powerful cards probably on her when fully upgraded. Resistance to single attacks plus 20, so that's going to be a 20% reduction on the attack damage that she would experience. So very good here. I would highly recommend this if you do have it. Although the reality is Odin might be better on another card, on another unit, because you can give the Man-Eater effect to that unit, and then just the party effect will be resistance to single attack plus 20. Finally, of course, I think the probably best card you could put on her would be Leona's Castle. Not only do you get the critical hit rate plus 6, you do get the defense plus 15, spirit plus 15, you get a moderate HP and attack. And let's be honest, most of us are going to be able to max this. For free-to-play players out there, this is going to be very accessible for you. Very powerful potential build. And finally, we have Oath of Love. Probably the card that everybody is thinking about when you're thinking about her. That HP plus 346, but really that slash attack plus 20, that enmity plus 5, and that party ability of attack plus 30%. So incredible. You could just imagine a build with Oath of Love, Odin, and something like Shiva, and you're just creating a tank party that is so beefy, so ridiculous. It just goes out of this world, you guys. Everyone, thank you so much for watching today, our video on Whisper. I hope you guys all found it at least a little bit useful. I think in doing all my research, I learned a lot more about Whisper than I thought I would ever want to know. It makes me really want to make a video about Grace, and it makes me want to make a video of Murmur, because I know there's somebody out there right now who is like, finally, Whisper is here. I can make my triple team of Whisper, Grace, and Murmur, and that's where I'm going to go. So I can't wait to see that submitted to our Feature Friday unit builders. One day we will be highlighting that composition, I have no doubt about it. And I can't wait to hear from you guys what you think. So drop it down in the comment section. I do try to respond to every comment that you guys leave. Come check out our Discord. We are a friendly bunch in there. And come check out my stream. I do stream almost every night from about 8 p.m. to midnight. And we'll be looking at doing some more streaming. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and have a great rest of your nights, you guys.